The Torrance Refinery Action Alliance attended the June 20th Torrance City Council meeting to demand the release of the hazard control analysis from the Torrance Refinery. The refinery is required to conduct the analysis based on a 2017 regulation, and the analysis was due back in October of 2022.
We're now moving on to oral communications number 1.
In October of 2017, the Cal EPA finalized a rule to require refineries that use deadly chemicals like hydrofluoric acid in their processes to do a feasibility study of switching to a safer chemical. In October of 2022, I called Cal EPA and asked where the report was, and I was told it was sent to the LA CUPA, and the chair of the CUPA was none other than Chief Dumais of the Torrance Fire Department. My heart sank because the report was going to the Torrance Fire Department, which has a very cozy relationship with the Torrance Refining Company. I feared he would hide the analysis from the public, and my fears have been realized. In November, Dumais was asked about the report, and he said to make a public records request, which TRAA did in March. Got no response. Made a second request. This time we were told to request the same report at the City Council. This is a runaround. The public has a right to know this information. Please direct Dumais to release this vital information forthwith.
My name is James, and I am here to bring to the attention of the City Council the exceptional dangers of modified hydrofluoric acid. As we speak, this highly hazardous chemical is being used in large quantities at the Torrance Refinery. If MHF is released, it forms a ground-hugging toxic cloud that can envelop the community. According to the refinery's own report to the EPA, hundreds of thousands of Torrance residents are in the risk zone of an MHF release. This puts vulnerable populations like children and the elderly at a heightened risk of death in the event of a serious accident. MHF releases have had catastrophic effects before, including incidences in China and South Korea that proved to be fatal. It has also hurt refinery workers here in the U.S. Numbers of animals and plants would die in the event of a release.
My name is Donna Heise. I'm a North Torrance resident of about 50 years. I'm here to ask the council, the Torrance City Council, to direct Chief Dumais to release the HCA for Torrance Refining Company. The citizens of Torrance have a right to know if it's possible for the Torrance Refining Company to change to a safer catalyst. The report was due in October 2022. TRAA and other groups have filed various requests, including public document request, PDR, to see the report. But so far, we've had no response from the chief. We really would like to see the report. I think our safety demands it. Thank you.
Live in North Torrance. I'd like to see our local refineries switch their alkylate from hydrogen fluoride to a safer alternative. When I mention this to other people, they often say, well, the refinery was here first. This is true. However, hydrogen fluoride was not. Most of Torrance was developed in the 1950s. Hydrogen fluoride was introduced into the refinery in the 1960s. They brought this dangerous chemical into our neighborhood without telling anyone. When I moved into Torrance from Hawthorne in the 1970s, I had no idea I was moving into a hazardous zone. I thought the main hazard was the extreme flammability of the products produced there. Had I known of the poisonous nature of the alkylate, I would have thought twice about moving so close to the refinery. Now there are 147,000 people in Torrance, all in the danger zone. Why hasn't the HCA report been made public?
So I'm here to support releasing the HCA report. We need to know what the analysis is so we can see if it really is safe or not. Tomorrow is the 4th anniversary of the Philadelphia explosion. And so, like they said here, it looked like a nuclear bomb went off, and that one threw bus-sized things, hundreds across the river, landing at over 100 miles per hour. This is a really great risk. I think it's time to address basically safer alternatives, and I think that the chief should release this information so the people of Torrance can study it and analyze it and see if it's true. Thank you very much. speaking as president of Torrance Refinery Action Alliance. Our website is info@TRAA.website, and you can get emails there. As you know, for 8 years, the community, supported by thousands of citizens, large demonstrations, hundreds of elected officials, large local and national organizations, unions, top scientists, and regulators have tried to bring about conversion from HF to a safer process. The refinery operates as safely as they can, but the highest safety is to change the chemical. Now state regulations require them to submit an analysis of the threat and the alternatives. Why is this report hidden from the public? Is a true analysis that can stand up to a third-party audit made by the refinery? Many of these misstatements on the refinery's websites would be exposed. Everybody knows it's too dangerous. There are alternatives, and everybody knows they just don't want.
First of all, happy Pride, especially to those who do not celebrate. My name is Isabel Balboa, and my family and I live within walking distance from the ticking time bomb known as Torrance Refinery. This city council has been asked countless times to protect their citizens from the preventable catastrophe that is a release of modified hydrofluoric acid, or MHF. After years of inaction from our city leaders, I still wonder how the Torrance City Council will react when there is an accidental release of this deadly chemical and people are injured and die from something the City Council could have prevented. I imagine the somber faces and endless excuses. Even small releases of this chemical have severely injured workers in Texas, Louisiana, and Washington, and still our leaders do nothing. The citizens of Torrance demand that the City Council and Fire Chief, who I'm glad is here, release documents showing whether or not a safer alternative for MHF can be adopted.
Hello, I'm going back in time a little bit, but I'm going back to September 2019, an article from the LA Times. Air Quality Management District Board kills regulation of dangerous refinery acid in favor of oil and industry plan. And the article indicates air quality regulators on Friday killed a years-long push for stronger regulation of a dangerous acid used at 2 South Bay refineries that has frightened many neighbors, voting instead to accept a voluntary oil industry pledge to enhance safety measures. The decision by the South Coast Air Quality Management District Governing Board came just 1 week after 2 refineries offered a way to avoid tougher restrictions. They sent letters offering to install improved safety systems in the coming years if regulators ended their pursuit of a rule or agreement to reduce the risk of a catastrophic release of MHF. So I'm concerned because this was voluntary and...
Speaking as a private citizen, we call upon the Torrance Fire Department Chief to see to it that the public data request for the hazard control analysis is honored ASAP. The runaround that TRAA has received is ridiculous and outrageous. The buck has been passed from the Governor's Interagency Task Force to the Certified United Program Agency, of which the Torrance Fire Department is a member, to the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, to Cal EPA, to the Department of Toxic Substance Control. Stop the madness. The hardworking, solid citizens of Torrance and the South Bay that are supporters of TRAA and our aerospace engineers, among other responsible occupations that are productive taxpayers, have had enough and deserve better treatment. Thank you.
I'm Jane Affonso from Redondo Beach, and I urge all of you council members to call on the chief and the refineries to release the report. You might, like me, might be curious why they haven't released it. It could allow the community to know whether the refinery has been hiding its ability to convert to a safer alternative than MHF. What are they hiding? Please use your power to demand transparency, to hold the chief and the refineries to account. And as an aside, I'm offended that the Torrance Refinery is accusing residents of stirring up trouble when they're just asking for transparency. A lot of people in the South Bay are worried about the safety of neighboring refineries. Why are the refineries not being good neighbors?
Thank you. That ends our oral communications this evening. We're moving on to item 8, consent calendar.